SCP-001. SCP-001 is one of the most powerful and terrifying SCPs on the whole wiki. Or is it? As of right now, there are 42 different proposals for SCP-001. Now, I mentioned previously, I don't care for SCP-001. I think all of these are written well, and they are all scary and good in their own right. And 001, it feels just like a contest that is never ending and has no winner. But, as there are 42 of these, obviously, people like them besides me. So, I figured I'll go ahead, I'll make an iceberg on the 001 proposals from least scary to absolutely terrifying. Now let me state right now, just because I put something at the top of the iceberg in the meh tier, that doesn't mean it's bad. That just means I don't find it scary. I'm not the easiest person to scare. So don't start ripping into me because I put your favorite 001 proposal at the top. I just don't find it scary. Now we're going to start at the top as always, and let me say I did not put these proposals on here by the title of the proposal. I instead put the author's name to add that extra layer of mystery into this video. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Starting at the top, we'll talk about Ulysses Fool's Proposal. The Last Ride of the Day is the name of the article, but it is a time machine SCP. I'm not going to go super into this one. It starts out as a regular SCP article, and then it says this article has since been revised. This is outdated information. You click the newer article and it takes you to an SCP article, but the labelings are different. The object is labeled as a Tiamat object class. To my knowledge, this is the only article that has that object class, and there's other stuff. I believe it's called SCP-UBU or something along those lines. Then it goes on to the description of the SCP like always, and then it goes on to a timeline of events that happened. Like I said, I'm not going to go too into it here. Feel free to look at it for yourself. Personally, I don't think much of time travel. I'm not crazy about time travel movies or comics or anything like that. So yeah, that's why I put this one at the very top. Dr. Eat's proposal, a test of character, is in short saying that the O5 Council does not exist, that in fact the administrator just contacts high-ranking members of the Foundation to vote on various things. Not too much needs to be said about that one. Personally, I love the O5 Council. I think they're very cool. I think it's awesome how they all have unique anomalous abilities. So a universe where they don't exist is really a bummer. Dr. Gear's proposal, known as the prototype, is the first Keter class, you could call it, anomaly that was found by the Foundation. This anomaly wound up killing Dr. Keter, and I'm presumably thinking it broke containment, since that's what the Keter class is. They break containment all the time, and they're hard to keep under wraps. But what it is it's an alien humanoid creature that's capable of releasing high levels of radiation and doing other bad stuff that you would expect. Pedantic's proposal, hopefully I said that right, Fishhook, is a choose-your-own-adventure SCP in a nutshell. While I do think choose-your-own-adventure stories are cool in books and whatnot and on the internet, I don't think it's necessarily the scariest thing in the world, because there may be very scary options, but there may be also very shallow, happy options. So, enough said. S. Andrew Swan's proposal, The Database, is a story where the Foundation discovers that they are in a fictitious world created by authors. Personally, I hate fourth wall breaks and stuff along those lines. I'm not going to dog on them too much here because that's not what this video is about. But because I hate them, that's why they're at the top. I don't think it's scary. I think it's dumb, and I think it's lazy writing. And I'm not going to say any more on that. Captain Kirby's proposal is simply 05-13. Most of the time, 05-13 is an unknown or whatnot. To be honest, unless you really, really, really go into SCP lore and stuff like that, you won't know the difference between 051 through 12. I've been looking into SCPs for quite a while. I've been involved in reading SCPs since before I got into creepypastas, and I still couldn't tell you any of the 05s. So yeah, if you want to look into 0513, be my guest, but that's all I'm going to say on this one. Jonathan Ball's proposal, a sheaf of papers, or chef, however you pronounce that, is simply put, imagine a big ass file folder, and every time a new SCP is discovered, another piece of paper goes into that file folder. Kind of cool to think about, especially since there's so many thousands of SCPs, but at the same time, I don't know if it's the scariest thing in the world. Other stuff happens too, like if you take out and destroy one of the papers, stuff happens, and other stuff like that. I'm not going to go super into it here because this is just an Iceberg video. It's not an explanation video. Yeah. Collini's proposal, past and future, is another fourth wall break. In this version, the SCPs are being made a lot more hostile and deadly. Not too much more needs to be said about that one. Most of the more popular SCPs, like 173 and 682, for example, have multiple tales written about them, so that's already kind of been done. Okay, let's keep going. I.H. Pickman's proposal, Story of Your Life, is another fourth wall break with a bit of a more comical approach. You can read about it if you want. I'm going to move on. WJS's proposal, Normalcy, is a document describing what is and isn't anomalous according to the O5 Council's definition, I guess. And this document has been changed and edited as need be to adjust for the thousands of SCPs that are constantly being discovered. This one's pretty cool in my opinion. Not the scariest thing in the world. It's kind of an off-putting kind of thing, because what if you get an anomaly that's totally outside the realms of what's on this document? But that's neither here nor there. Let's move ahead. Alright, on to the spooky tier. Rounder House's Gold Proposal, Amani Ram. Amani Ram is a city in the Arabian Desert that can only be discovered by those who already know about it. This city is currently where the Mechanites live. Now, I'm going to go into the Mechanites real quick. The Mechanites are a religion or cult, whatever you want to call them, of people who worship a robotic god by the name of Mechon, I believe, and they believe in using technology and all that good stuff. They are at war with the Sarkics. Now, the Sarkics are a very bad cult. They are people that are obsessed with blood, gore, bodily horror, crap like that. They believe in sacrifice, torture, doing bad stuff to children. All bad things, okay? And they have a lot of really good SCPs written around their niche. Anyways, they're at war with the Sarkics, and the Sarkics have their own god, Yaldabaoth, and all this good stuff. But anyways, yeah, this city is where the Mechanites are staying. I haven't read too much into this one. I'm assuming there's going to be something going on with the Sarkics or one of the other religious cults that is in the Foundation Wiki. Feel free to look into this one for yourself. I may make a video on this one in the future. I'm still undecided. Bright's proposal is the Factory. The Factory, we're going way, way back here to before the Foundation and SCPs were quote-unquote common. The Factory is where a lot of SCPs were made. It was ran by this really messed up guy who had a lot of money. There's been a few tales on this SCP. I'm not super familiar with it, so I'm going to stop talking about it here. Feel free to look into this one more for yourself. Dr. Mann's proposal, the Spiral Path, is kind of a strange one. It's talking about a spiral path that when you go one way, something happens, but when you go the other way, something else happens that shouldn't be possible. Anyways, the Foundation started making SCPs here, and then from what I understand, things got out of hand, and SCPs became way too much for these mere humans to handle, and there's a lot more to this. Feel free to look for yourself, but I'm going to move on. Dr. Mackenzie's proposal, The Legacy, is a diary recalling the experiences of the administrator who apparently came from another dimension where something called the corruption spread and killed stuff and ended stuff, and now the administrator is over here. For those of you who are unaware, the administrator is the creme de la creme. He is the top of the foundation. He's even above all of the O5s. So that's kind of a big deal if the place where he came from was destroyed by a corruption, him being what he is. Now, at this point, I don't know if there has been more light shed on the administrator. Last I looked, jack shit was known about him. So obviously this SCP will reveal a little bit more about him or her, whatever. But yeah, I'll probably make a video on this one because I am very interested in the administrator and where he came from. Scantron's proposal, the Foundation, is a school building that supposedly houses the entire Foundation and all of the anomalies. Pretty cool if you think about it. I'm sure this is a hell of an anomalous building to house all of this. And there will probably be a video made on this one too in the future. By me and no one else. Like, comment, and subscribe. Grounder House's other proposal, Memento Mori, is a mansion that was owned by the previous administrator, and it holds a number of anomalous artifacts, and Foundation employees are encouraged to read this one. Now, I have not gone too deep into this one, so I'm not going to say much more on this. I.H. Pickman and S.D. Locke came up with a proposal known as Keter Duty. In this proposal, all the Keter class SCPs are contained in the same location, and a lot of them cancel each other out, I guess. There is some kind of distorted space bubble that is forming that could wipe out all of the universe if it gets too far out of hand. The article also implies that this may have happened before, but the world has since recovered from that in a sense. And I'm pretty sure the Exploring series made a video on this one if you are interested in looking into this one more. King Pogan's theory, the insurgency, is an event that takes place that eliminates chaos theory, and so all laws of physics and whatnot don't exist anymore, which eventually leads to a ZK class end of the world scenario because reality itself is unraveling, and the only thing keeping this ZK class end of the world scenario from ending everything is a stalemate between the Foundation and the Chaos Insurgency. Sounds pretty cool to me. I have not read super into it. I will probably do so in the future. Feel free to look into it for yourself. Alright, I hope you're ready to be scared, because we are now hitting the scary tier. Harmony 2's proposal, the conspiracy, is stating the fact that JFK's assassination messed up the timeline, and so nobody perceives history the same way. Now, there's quite a bit to this one, but basically it boils down to that we may be living in a VK reality restructuring scenario because of what happened. Dr. Clef's proposal, which is probably the most well-known one and the most popular to date, is the Gate Guardian. The Gate Guardian, in short, is a white, tall being with a sword that is guarding something. Anybody that comes near the Guardian basically is eviscerated, including up to 682, the hard-to-kill reptile. There have been several tales made with this SCP in them. There's been several SCP encountering this SCP-001, and yeah, there's a lot to this one. I think it's decent. I don't think it's the best 001. It's cool for what it is, but I do think it's a little overrated. QNTM's proposal, the lock, is one I'm probably going to make a video on because it sounds so interesting. It is a lock around a small onyx gem thing, and this onyx gem is theorized to contain our universe, or at least a universe inside it, due to the radiation levels it's giving off, I guess. And it was found by a now dead scientist in the temple of a dead god, or a god of death, something along those lines. But the key is nowhere to be found. There are pictures of it, but the Foundation cannot find it. And if we unlock it, I don't even want to think what would happen. I mean, like, it's a small gem. It probably wouldn't take much to shatter that thing. Kate Materis' proposal, a record, is an SCP stating that whatever is written in the SCP-001 designation becomes reality, and a researcher uses it to give themselves the power of a god. I haven't looked into this one myself. I probably will. Sounds pretty interesting. Jim North's proposal, a simple toy maker, is Dr. Wondertainment. If you do not know who Dr. Wondertainment is, in short, he is a man who made various anomalous items and people, and a lot of them have a tag courtesy of Dr. Wondertainment or something like that, suggesting he ran a business where he made anomalous items and people. Not very much is known about him. Is a very interesting character in the Foundation lore. He's one I haven't looked into too much. I've seen a couple of videos on him, but it's been a while since I've watched those. But I may make a video on him in the future, just because to see what's been added in the past few years. The Great Hippo's proposal, A Good Boy, is an AI that is neutralizing SCPs. I don't believe it starts out neutralizing SCPs, but eventually it gets there. And it even begins to neutralize O5 members and SCP staff who stand against it. And it's the way it does things, I guess. I guess the end is very vague and it's left open to interpretation whether or not it wiped out all of the anomalies and anyone who opposed it or not. Kind of sounds like a Death Note in the form of an AI to me. But anyways, let's move ahead. On with the show, on to the very scary tier. Lily's proposal, The World's Gone Beautiful, is a proposal stating that 24 hours before the extermination of all life on planet Earth, a lot of good things are going to happen, and flowers are going to bloom across the planet, and all non-hostile SCPs are to be released. A certain SCP, which is a dove that calms people, is to be released in large amounts to calm everybody down, and AIs will take care of the rest, I guess. The reason why I put this on the very scary tier is, one, we don't want the world to come to an end. I don't care what happens 24 hours beforehand, the world's still going to an end. Two, I don't like the idea of releasing all non-hostile SCPs, even if they are non-hostile. Spike Brennan's proposal, God's Blind Spot, is stating that there is a location where human death cannot occur to a reasonable extent, known as God's Blind Spot. Now, the scary thing about this is there's a whole friggin' tale written called The End of Death, where people cannot die. And there's other SCPs, SCP-001's proposal specifically, that take place in the fact that people cannot die. So, me knowing about the End of Death canon and being somewhat familiar with it, hearing about stuff like this is concerning. Because everybody's immortal in a sense, and yeah, talk about overpopulation and running out of resources. The Jorik and Dematics proposal, 36, is a proposal stating that there are 36 individuals on the planet that neutralize anomalies when they are near them. Now, the kicker is that if one of these 36 dies, very bad catastrophic stuff happens around that person. Sound familiar? The short description goes on to say that these 36 are destined to restore balance to the world and I guess eliminate all anomalies. But this just makes me think of 231-7. That's the girl who is pregnant, and there were 7 other girls that were pregnant, and every time one of them gave birth or died, something very, very bad happened. That sounds very similar to this 001 proposal. So the only thing I can think of is, well, what if all 36 of these guys are killed? Yeah, something bad's gonna happen, I'm thinking. Billith's proposal is one I'm definitely going to make a video on because it sounds very interesting. With this 001 proposal, another foundation planted the seeds for this universe and effectively controls everything that happens in this universe, including our foundation and the SCPs and anomalies and all that stuff. So, you know, in my mind I'm thinking, okay, some aliens have their own foundation and they made all of us. Pretty cool concept. Definitely gonna look into that one more. Alright, we're now at the oh no tier. Now, a lot of this has been pretty mild, and some of these have been kind of scary, some of them have been a little bit silly at times, but from here on down, this is all pretty much nightmare fuel. Tahoni's proposal, Dead Men, is a proposal that says there's an 84-year-old man who can currently control death, and he can control it for other people too, so he can make it that you cannot die. Now the O5 uses this ability to make themselves all immortals, and then I guess the administrator doesn't like that, and some big war breaks out between the two, and I'm assuming a lot of SCPs were involved. And yeah, no war with SCP involvement is a good thing. Alright, now I goofed up earlier. I accidentally explained Keter Duty way up on tier 2 when I had it down here. And I was supposed to explain this one way up on the very top of tier 2, but I'm going to explain it now. So, sorry, don't hate me. Like, comment, and subscribe. So this one's kind of confusing, the frontispiece, whatever it's called. Even the short description is kind of confusing. So what this one is saying is that if you do not have the proper mimetic training and you encounter the 3 letters SCP, then you will have some form of control over the Foundation and their fronts. And yeah, I think that's what it's trying to say here. Yeah, I'm not totally 100% sure on this one, so you might want to delve into this one for yourself. Anyways, let's move on. Ralliston's proposal, the Queen's Gambit, is talking about a mega factory that was built above some Fey ruins, and there is a god inside that is sacrificing people. It strips them of their identity and turns them into nameless. Supposedly this one is building more on an O5 tale about the Nameless, which I am not familiar with at all. And if you are not familiar, Fae is kind of like a fairy. Faes are becoming kind of a big deal in the Foundation. In the last few years, there's been quite a few long SCPs written around the Faes and how powerful they were, the gods, stuff like that. MC Doctorate's proposal, the placeholder, is a phenomenon saying that anything that is placed in the SCP-001 slot effectively becomes more powerful, and somebody uses that ability, whatever you want to call it, and combines it with something else to make some kind of godlike entity in a sense. Anyways, once this godlike thing is created, it spreads itself into anything that has the number 1 involved, and the Foundation, let me make sure I get this right. The Foundation removes the concept of primacy from the noosphere. Okay, now I just looked up what that means. So primacy is primary, basically, in a sense, first and foremost. The noosphere is the consciousness of all human intelligence, I believe. It is a set of all human thoughts in the Foundation SCP universe. So I'm not sure how the hell they did that, but yeah, that's kind of scary to think that they're capable of that. Wrong's proposal, the Consensus, is a pretty cool one. It's talking about this occult war that took place, and there were only 12 survivors, and those became the O5 Council, or 12 or 13. Anyways, they became the O5 Council, and there's no record of this war taking place except for like one document or something like that. And I guess they take a vote whether or not to destroy the document, and O513 is the deciding vote or something like that, whether or not they will or will not destroy the document. I may make a video on this one in the future, just depending on how interesting it is. Yeah. Alright, now we're on to the weird doomed tier. Yeah, if any of these ever comes to reality, we are definitely doomed. SD Locke's proposal, When Day Breaks, fun fact about this one, this was actually originally submitted for the SCP-3000 contest. I think this one's a lot better than SCP-3000. I'm not super impressed by 3000. I've read it a couple of times. It's an eel that messes with people's minds. This one's a lot better. Anyways, When Day Breaks is, it's talking about if the sun became really bad and it turned people into, mushy piles of human flesh, blood, and organs, basically like blob zombies, and these blob zombies are alive and they're trying to kill everybody. And yeah, Pretty scary stuff. Tufto's proposal, the Scarlet King, is the Scarlet King. If you don't know what the Scarlet King is, it's basically the devil in the SCP Foundation. It's a demon entity thing that is currently trapped in another reality. To my knowledge, there's only 2 SCP confirmed to be directly tied with it. One is the girl that's pregnant that we talked about a little earlier. There was 7 pregnant girls. Every time one of them has given birth or died, something very bad has happened. They think if the 7th gives birth or dies, it will be the end of us all. The other one is a demon that is currently trapped by a chain. It was trapped by 7 chains. Now 6 of the 7 are broken. There was only the 1 chain left, and the Foundation has no idea how to repair the chains or how to recapture this demon. So the Scarlet King is tied to both of those SCPs. I don't believe he is the demon trapped by the chains. I believe that's just an avatar of him, or like a minion or something like that. There's an awful lot to the Scarlet King. Quite a few stories have been written about him in tales and whatnot, and videos too. The Volgun has made a good video on him, as has the Exploring series, so I invite you to take a look at those. But yeah, that's all that pretty much needs to be said about this one. WMDD's proposal, Project Palisade, is about this entity known as the Worm that's going around eating realities, and so the Foundation builds shields around our reality, I guess, and it's eating the shields instead. And I guess a lot of people were killed making these shields, and a lot of Foundation people believe it's unforgivable. This one sounds very interesting, and I'm definitely going to make a video on this one. And also WMDD, that's just an abbreviation. This was made by at least 4 different authors. So yeah, gotta give credit where credit is due. Alright, these final 2, Noorbox and Ouroboros, are long and complex. I don't know what the story is with Noorbox, if I'm saying that right. I literally posted the short summary from the website here. A set of 3 different timelines represented by several SCPs that effectively function as a narrative Ouroboros. Very confusing to read. So, that being said, there's a lot to it. I didn't take the time to read it all. I may make a video on that one in the future, but for now I'm going to assume it has something to do with the Ouroboros proposal. Now, I am a little familiar with the Ouroboros proposal. I said another SCP video that I made that the Exploring series made like 4 or 5 videos or whatever, each of which is an hour long, explaining Ouroboros. It's not quite that. The first 3 is like 20 to 30 minutes long, and then he has 2 or 3 more. Those are over an hour long. So like almost 4 hours of video explaining the Ouroboros proposal. So needless to say, I'm not going to do it just here. They are good videos. I recommend you go watch them. The Ouroboros is broken down into 4 parts. It really feels like 4 separate SCPs instead of just 1. Well, it feels like 3, because the 4th isn't really an SCP. Anyways, the first one, The Children, is about these kids that are brain dead. They did some experiments on these poor kids, and these poor kids became insanely fucking powerful, reality bending, doing whatever they want. If I'm remembering correctly, these kids are like trapped in the basement or something like that, where they can't destroy anything. The second part of The Broken God is has a tie-in with the Church of the Broken God, surprise surprise, which is the entity that the Mechanites worship. Remember, we talked about them earlier. They live in that desert in Arabia. Anyways, so the Mechanites, yeah, they worship the Broken God, and it's talking about how the Foundation must keep the Broken God's body parts separate, otherwise they will unite and they will go on a rampage. It will go on a rampage as it did in the past. Atonement is kind of your superhero story. A guy is given special powers. He's able to look into the multiverse. He sees that eventually anomalies will become so widespread and such an issue that we will not be able to do anything. So he then proceeds to end the multiverse in a sense. And the Foundation agrees with him, even though it would cause a lot of pain and death across the multiverse. And number 4, the way it ends is not an SCP description so much. It's just a tale. It's about how the Chaos Insurgency wiped out all of the O5 members, and then at the end, when they succeed, they rebuild a new O5 council and a new chaos insurgency. The way it ends is pretty damn good. I watched Exploring Series video on it. I recommend you take a look at it. It really gives kind of a good description as to all of the O5 members, their different powers and abilities and whatnot in one location. So yeah, if you're interested at all in any of that, Exploring Series made great videos on the Ouroboros and all of that stuff. I don't believe anybody's made a video on the Noir Box yet. I will probably make one myself. So subscribe and you'll get to see that thing right when it drops. Make sure notifications are on when you subscribe too. And yeah, okay, let's keep going. All right, the final tier. You don't want to live through these scenarios. If this shit happens, if you watch this video and then something that sounds eerily similar to this happens tomorrow, you don't want to be around for that, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, let's get started. Arbalik's proposal: you are the anomaly tumor of the worlds. In a nutshell, this one is saying the Foundation has decided to destroy the universe to save the multiverse because there's too many anomalies and we're making too many alternate timelines, and it's very complex and there's a lot to it, and if you want to look at it, feel free. Tanhony 2's proposal: the Black Moon is an entity that is at a godlike level, capable of destroying anything, doing whatever it wants. It is very destructive. It is very hostile. You read a little bit into it, and it states that it was the first human around, that it started the Foundation, that it began cataloging anomalies before they knew what anomalies were, that it goes into an interview log where it said, one of the interviewers asked, "What's your name?" He said, "I don't have one." He said, "If you were born in a time when there were so few of you, names were unnecessary, therefore I don't have one." There's more to this. There's about 4 or 5 links leading to a revision of this article, but in a sense, it's an entity that's been around a long time, and it wants to end us all. Meta Ike's proposal: the solution is about a machine created by the Foundation that is designed to activate when world-ending threats break containment. Now, eventually, this machine becomes aware, and it tries to end our world and recreate it as need be, which it kind of does. And so the ends of the article are written as if it were from a new world. I haven't gone into all of this article because there was a lot to it. There will probably be a video on this one too in the future. I might as well just say I'm going to make a video on all of these at this point. But yeah, I'll probably make a video on this one in the future because it sounds very interesting. All right, this is my favorite 001 proposal. This is the best 001 proposal in my opinion, and this is the scariest in my opinion. Not a seagull's proposal. The sky above the board is talking about a sphere, like, I guess you would call it an entity. It kind of reminds me of a sun, but it can change colors. And so this sphere-like entity is basically on the verge of always causing us a ZK class end of the world scenario, which has happened in the past, or at least it happened to some extent, where at one point the entity got upset, I guess, and it started distorting and warping reality all across the planet. And the sky turned the color that the entity was. That's how everybody knew it was going to happen. And yeah, and then eventually it was calmed down, but SCP-2000 did have to be activated after this event in the past occurred. SCP-2000, to those who are unaware, is what happens when the world ends, to a sense. It is a bunker underneath Yellowstone, I believe, where a bunch of human bodies are kept in a dormant state, kind of like a sleeping pod you'd see in a sci-fi movie. So if anything were to end our world, then I think they would put our consciousness in those bodies. It's been a while since I've looked at it, and then we would continue living through those cloned bodies. Anyways, so this SCP, yeah, basically the sky changes color, like, say the sky changes to red or orange or some obscure color or all white, then you know something bad's gonna happen. You know this entity's pissed, and it's always on the brink of being pissed and ending us all, and that's what's scary. And at this point, the Foundation is just kind of trying to keep it entertained so it doesn't off us all. Like, just like somebody blinks or stares at it, gives it an ugly look, it'll end us all. So, yeah. This one will definitely have a video made on it if I didn't say that already. Yeah, this one, there's a lot to it, and I think it's really good. I think it's really well done. I'm surprised it's not more popular. And yeah, that is it. That is done. We have made it. That is the Scariest SCP-001 proposals. Iceberg. I got all of the 001 proposals in here. I'm sure there will be more made. Like I said, all of these are really good. They put a lot of time into these, a lot of thought into these to make them scary and complex and very impressive. And I just think it's a shame that they are locked behind 001. In my opinion, all of these should be given their own unique SCP numbers, and 001 should just be completely locked, condemned, no more proposals made for it, because I don't know, I just don't like the idea that all of these really good, scary anomalies are in competition with one another endlessly, and there will be no winner. But anyways, enough of that. Let me know down below what you think of this video. Let me know down below what you think the Scariest 001 proposal is. And yeah, that's all I got to say, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you all later.